I'm in Dakar and Monrovia, 7 p.m. in Cotonou. Good evening and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM. I am Veronique Jai. First, our top stories. Bandits kill at least 11 villagers in Katsina State, northwest Nigeria. Mali's transitional president Goita assumes the role of defense minister following the death of General Sadio Kamara. Pressure mounts on the Gambian government as family issues a 7-day ultimatum over Omar Baji's death.
This is what the coroner inquest demanded. The officers involved, they should be prosecuted.
Niger bans sleeping in mosques and Quranic schools as a security measure against terrorist attacks. Please stay tuned for the details of these stories and more.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Thank you for joining us. We begin in Nigeria, where at least 11 people were killed in a fresh bandit attack on communities in Katsina State. The attack is believed to be a reprisal following recent security operations in the area. The situation underscores ongoing security challenges in Nigeria's northwest region. Our correspondent Yeche Nusasitu reports.
The incident occurred in Kankia local government area of Katsina State, where suspected bandits attacked several villages, leaving at least 11 people dead. Authorities say the assault may have been carried out in retaliation after security forces disrupted earlier operations by the armed groups and recovered rustled cattle. According to residents, the attackers invaded the communities, sparking panic and forcing many to flee for safety. Security analyst Darlington Umaru explains that such reprisal attacks are often a response by armed groups seeking to reassert control after losing ground to security forces.
In the first instance, I do not think that these persons that came to attack markets in the local government were actually out to take away people. But I think in the course of trying to stop them, and then whatever happened, some of them were killed and some of them were stopped. And in the course of all that, they had to go back, regroup, and come back to kill those they are meant to kill. That what has happened over some time is stealing of animals.
He also called on the federal government and security agencies to re-strategize.
Non-kinetic approach the Katsina state government and the people had with the bandits once upon a time. We have also seen the kinetic approach being adopted by the military over time. But what is the result we have gotten from all of this? I think this is what the military and the agencies, particularly the intelligence agencies, should sit down and then reason and do. But in most times, what has happened is that the two are adopted.
Security agencies say operations have been intensified in the area with ongoing patrols and efforts to track down the attackers. For WADR, Yechenis Asetu in Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian government has commenced arrangements to evacuate its citizens from South Africa amid rising anti-foreigner tensions in the country. At least 130 individuals have been registered for voluntary repatriation flights. The development follows renewed protests and incidents of xenophobic rhetoric in parts of South Africa, particularly in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Demonstrators have blamed undocumented migrants for economic hardship, unemployment, and insecurity. Imo Edit has the details.
In Africa's most industrialized economy, a troubling pattern has persisted for years. Waves of violence targeting foreign nationals. This is a xenophobic crisis in South Africa, and it continues to raise difficult questions about identity, inequality, and survival. So how did it start? The roots go back to the years following the end of apartheid in 1994, as South Africa opened up. It became a destination for migrants from across the continent, many seeking safety, jobs, and opportunity. But over time, deep economic frustrations began to grow. High unemployment, poverty, and inequality created tension in many communities. In some cases, foreign nationals were blamed for taking jobs, running small businesses, or even contributing to crime. Claims that often exaggerated or unsupported were powerful enough to fuel anger. So how are West Africans affected? For many from countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal, South Africa has long been a place of business and ambition. West Africans are active in sectors like retail, telecommunications, and informal trade. But during xenophobic flare-ups, they often become direct targets. Shops owned by Ghanaians, Nigerians, and other West Africans have been vandalized. Some individuals have even faced harassment, displacement, or even deadly attacks. Meanwhile, actions taken so far by Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okejo-Blakwa, includes engagement with South African authorities and the provision of consular assistance. For her part, the Nigerian government has commenced arrangements to evacuate its citizens from South Africa, with at least 130 individuals already registered for voluntary repatriation flights amid rising anti-foreigner tensions in the country. At its core, this crisis is not just about migration. It's about economic pressure, governance challenges, and the struggle to define belonging in a rapidly changing society.
That was Imo Edet with that report. Elsewhere in the Gambia, pressure is mounting on the authorities over the death of a young man known as Omar Baji. The family of the late Baji, along with youth leaders, have issued a 7-day ultimatum regarding the handling of his death. They are demanding action based on the findings of a coroner's inquest, which recommended the prosecution of police officers associated with the case. WADR Sang Donald Mendy has the details.
The family of the late Omar Baji, along with youth leaders in Mandinari, West Coast region, expressed frustration about continued silence from the authorities weeks after a coroner's report was made public. At a recent news conference, youths and family members said the findings clearly outline the circumstances of Omar Baji's death and implicate police officers in the incident. The group is now demanding a formal apology from the Inspector General of Police to the family and the Mandinari community over what they call a misleading early account of the case. Youth leader Ibrahim John voiced his frustration.
An apology will not only acknowledge the loss of life, but also the pain caused by the use of the force against grieving citizens, the arrest and the treatment of youths during that period. It is a step toward restoring confidence in governance and showing that the state does not distance itself. This is what the coroner inquest demanded. The officers involved, they should be prosecuted. This is a direct call for the implementation of the law based on the findings of the inquest. The recommendation for prosecution is not optional. I repeat, it is not optional. It is a legal step that must be taken to ensure accountability.
They are also calling on the government to issue an apology and to move swiftly to prosecute and dismiss the officers named in the coroner's findings. They insist the measures are necessary to restore public confidence in law enforcement and ensure accountability. However, they have warned that if there is no response within 7 days, they will consider further action. The demands come less than a month after the judiciary released a coroner's report which found that Omar Baji died from an acute brain injury sustained during a police pursuit in Mandinari. The report, which examined the witnesses, a post-mortem, and the scene of the incident, recommended that the case be referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions for possible criminal proceedings. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Sangdana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Mali, transitional president Assimi Goïta has now assumed the role of defense minister. This information was made public a few hours ago through a decree. Assimi Goïta replaces General Sadio Kamara, who was killed in an attack targeting his home on April 25th. Furthermore, General Omar Jara has been appointed deputy minister to manage the day-to-day operations of the department. And we head to neighboring Niger, and the military-led government is tightening its grip on religious spaces. A new directive from the Ministry of Interior now strictly prohibits sleeping in mosques or Quranic schools in the country. The orders sent via radio message to regional governors and prefects is being framed as a security measure to monitor religious learning centers. Christopher Teacher gives us the details.
The decision is aimed at reasserting full control over public spaces. Henceforth, mosques and Quranic schools can no longer be used as places of lodging in Niger. As a result, every religious facility must be systematically closed and cleared immediately after prayers. The measure was introduced without priority consultation with some religious leaders. Those we reached for comment expressed their disagreement but declined to elaborate further. While some religious figures say they do not fully understand the move, the Nigerian government appears determined to act preemptively and prevent the shelter of suspicious individuals in places of worship. The initiative is also intended to allow for better monitoring of gatherings and to prevent potential infiltration. This security-driven measure comes at a time of heightened concerns in the region, particularly as neighboring Mali within the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, which it shares with Niger, recently experienced coordinated attacks across several regions. A similar measure has been implemented in Burkina Faso as part of the newly launched Webga 2 operation, aimed at strengthening community involvement in the fight against terrorism.
A report from our Niamey correspondent Yakuba Habibulai, presented by Christopher Aticho. Here in Senegal, reactions are pouring in following a major media interview granted by President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Over the weekend, the Senegalese leader reviewed his months in office, notably addressing his increasingly strained relationship with Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. While the president frames this as a transparent update on current affairs, both the opposition and civil society groups have voiced their critiques. Francis Boniface tells us more in this report.
President Bassirou Diomaye Faye granted an interview lasting over 2 hours to 3 Senegalese media outlets. He touched upon several topics, including the economy, politics, and justice. However, the intervention left a taste of unfinished business, according to opposition figure Tieno Bokoum, president of the movement, Agir le Leader.
Today, the central issue in this country is the economic situation, the difficulties that the Senegalese people are going through. We believe there is indeed a sense of unfinished business, but even worse, there is a deep disappointment regarding his approach, especially at a time when we were expecting solutions to lead the Senegalese out of this situation.
The Senegalese president also commented on maintaining the presidency's political funds. While in opposition, he had promised to abolish them. Today, however, he deems them necessary. This shift was denounced by Babacar Ba, president of the Forum de Justiciable, a civil society organization.
We heard the president say that there will be a discreet use of these funds. This is a disappointment to me because it encourages opacity regarding public funds that belong to the Senegalese people. Their use must be carried out with the utmost transparency.
Bassirou Diomaye Faye also acknowledged disagreements with his Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. According to Moussa Diaw, a political analyst, the Senegalese president is taking actions that deviates from the trajectory of PASTEF, his original party.
Through this speech, he seems to be turning the page on the PASTEF program to embark on another path, which consists of preparing another coalition to be ready for the next elections, specifically the local elections of 2027 and the presidential elections of 2029.
Regarding the reform of Articles L29 and L30 of the Electoral Code, which concern the conditions of ineligibility, the Senegalese president stated that he did not see the urgency for such proposed legislation.
That was Francis Boniface with that report. Still in Senegal, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has appointed Abdoulaye Tine as Minister, Advisor and Spokesperson for the presidency. Tine, a lawyer by profession, is also a member of the Diomaye President Coalition. He replaces Ousseynou Ly, head of the PASTEF party in Medina. The decision was made public in a press release issued by the presidency on May 4, 2026 in Dakar. You're still listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Bandits kill at least 11 villagers in Katsina State, northwest Nigeria. Mali's transitional president, Goita, assumes the role of defense minister following the death of General Sajo Kamara. Pressure mounts on the Gambian government as family issues a 7-day ultimatum over Omar Baji's death. Niger bans sleeping in mosques and Quranic schools as a security measure against terrorist attacks. Still ahead in the news, we have guest interview and sports news. Stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Thank you for staying with us. Turning to the media landscape, the Ghana Journalists Association has welcomed the country's improved performance in the 2026 World Press Freedom Index. According to the report, Ghana has climbed to 39th place globally, marking its highest position in 5 years. The country moved up from 52nd last year to become the 4th-ranked country in the African continent. Now, the Tete reports.
Ghana's upward movement in the latest press freedom rankings comes at a time when global media conditions are declining, according to Reporters Without Borders. The country is now ranked 39th, with its overall score rising to 72.2, an improvement from the 67.13 recorded in 2025. The gains reflect steady progress across key areas, including the political environment, economic conditions for media operations, and legal framework supporting press freedom. There were also modest improvements in public support for journalism, while journalist safety recorded the most notable advancement. However, despite these positive shifts, concerns remain about lingering political influence, financial constraints facing media organizations, and safety of journalists. Rebecca Ekpe is a vice president of the Ghana Journalists Association.
It's actually highlighting an improvement within Ghana's media landscape so far as freedom of expression is concerned. Some concerns remain about journalist safety and broader issues that come up on a daily basis that is brought to the desk of the Ghana Journalists Association. I would say we still need to do a bit more work to promote press freedom in Ghana and to guard jealously against interference with the work of journalists.
Government has also been reacting to the latest ranking. Minister in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwachiofosu, says the improvement reflects efforts to expand free expression and strengthen media rights. He agrees, however, that more needs to be done, particularly in addressing attacks and intimidation against journalists. Within Africa, only South Africa, Namibia, and Seychelles ranked higher, while countries that previously outperformed Ghana, including Cabo Verde, Gabon, Mauritius, and Mauritania, have now fallen behind. For WADR, Nadede Tete, Accra.
Now to Liberia, where a new effort is underway to bridge the healthcare gap in undeserved regions. The Ministry of Health, in partnership with the Mastercard Foundation and UNICEF, has launched the Community Health Workforce Development Program. The initiative is designed to provide primary healthcare access to rural communities while simultaneously creating jobs for young Liberians. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker has more.
Officials say about 10,000 community health workers will be trained by 2028 and another 5,000 people will receive advanced training. The program also promotes gender inclusion as around 70% of beneficiaries will be young women. Health Minister Dr. Louis Okpoto at the launch said the program goes beyond healthcare as it will also support youth empowerment.
What is very significant about this entrepreneurship is the economic impact. It will help to boost our economy. You will have the young people who will be the entrepreneurs that we are piloting. They will have access to funding. They will also build business skills. It will create jobs in mentorship and networks. And then they will also be self-sufficient.
Speaking for the Mastercard Foundation, Kale Aromen said the initiative will strengthen the health worker force of Liberia.
This program represents an important milestone in strengthening Liberia's primary healthcare system by playing a critical role in strengthening community health workers, who are the center of service delivery, employment creation, and community resilience. By focusing on employment and upskilling of our community health workers and on an enabled primary healthcare ecosystem for sustainable employment.
Partners at the launch pledged their support, stressing the importance of community-based healthcare. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, our guest this evening is Babacar Ba, president of the Forum des Justiciables in Senegal. In this interview, he reacts to statements made by President Bassirou Diomaye Faye during a major interview over the weekend. During the recent interview, the Senegalese leader reviewed his months in office, notably addressing his increasingly strained relationship with Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. While the presidency frames this as a transparent update on current affairs, both the opposition and civil society groups have voiced sharp criticisms. Here is Babacar Ba's reaction.
Well, listen, I think the president was engaged in a public reactions exercise. He may have wanted to use this platform to clarify certain things with his original party pastors. Because if you've been following closely, the time he devoted to his supposed deputy with party activists was far greater than the time he dedicated to other issues concerning the general interest.
It was President Bassirou Diomaye Faye who acknowledged disagreements between him and his prime minister. So to what extent can these disagreements impact the implementation of public policies?
This divergence is already negatively impacting the economy, or at least the well-being of Senegalese citizens. Because today, as you know, we are in a difficult economic situation and people are struggling to make ends meet. Meanwhile, instead of focusing their effort on how to revitalize our economy, on how to ensure that citizens can still live decently, because lately we've seen a series of demands. You've heard about the transport workers' strike, the teachers' strike, and the health workers' union strike. So, I think there are issues of general interest that should concern them. But today, all these issues are on hold, simply because we are being told about a disagreement between the President of the Republic and his Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. Unfortunately, this disagreement is negatively impacting the economic development of our country.
You said that it's already impacting the Senegalese economy. Can we say today that the economic crisis Senegal is experiencing is necessarily linked to this disagreement between the two men?
Well, of course. From the moment you inherit a country that wasn't really economically strong, so today I think they should focus their effort and energy on figuring out how to ensure the Senegalese economy can still prosper. But all the questions revolve around Bassirou Diomaye, who will be candidate in 2029. This is a move that is currently having a negative impact on our country's development.
Let's talk about the presidential political funds. As a civil society actor, do you agree with maintaining these funds?
No, I confess on the issue of transparency and good governance. The president hasn't convinced me. Take the issue of political funds. For those who don't know, in their platform, they promised the Senegalese people that once in power, they would abolish them. The first candidate, Ousmane Sonko, never believed in political funds. Now, having come to power, not only have they not abolished them, but they've maintained them. And we've heard the president say that these funds would be used discreetly because their distribution must be done with greater discretion. And honestly, I was disappointed because they are encouraging opacity with funds, public money that belongs to the Senegalese people. But their use must be completely transparent. Where there is discretion, there is opacity. And where there is opacity, there will be mismanagement. So, how is the use of these funds problematic?
That was Babacar Ba, president of the Forum des Justiciables in Senegal. And now to sports news, and we begin with basketball as the matchup for the 2026 Basketball Africa League playoffs are set. Each of the 8 teams now know their path to the final. High-quality matchups are expected. Most notably, ASC Ville Dakar will face Al Ahly, and Petro Luanda will once again take on Dar City. 8 teams are vying to succeed Al Ahly. The Libyan club champions of the 2025 season are also in contention for another title. The championship begin their final phase against Club Africain. Fuse Rabat will face the surprising Rwanda club RSSB Tigers. The 2 other matches feature matches between teams that competed in the same conference. In football, the 2025-2026 FASOFIT season, the top division of the Burkina Faso League, is drawing to a close. While the champion has been known for several weeks, the teams that would be relegated to the second division are still unknown. That has now changed following the 29th and penultimate match day. After a 4-0 defeat against Rahimo FC RCB, a legendary club in the Bubu Jolaso City Championship has been officially relegated to the second division. This comes at the end of a chaotic season. There was no miracle for the newly promoted AJEP, the club of Burkinabé international Bertrand Traoré. Having just arrived, the club will be playing in the second division next season. And that's all for sports news. And that is how we ended on Newslink for West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Maudo Juve for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via social media platforms X, Instagram, and Facebook at WDR English. I am Veronique Njai. Good evening.
We thank you for listening to Newslink in Nigeria on Love FM Abuja and Darling FM Owerri. In the Gambia on Hot FM Banjul, Hilltop FM and Veritas Radio in Serekunda. Thank you for listening on Alternative Youth Radio Lofa County, Liberia, Radio Kegaman in Nimba County, and DCN Radio Riverses County. A big thank you to Radio Graft FM in Sierra Leone for listening, and in Ghana we thank Radio Pad in Damango and Royals FM in Wenchi. Thank you all for listening to Newslink.